Hey guys, so what is up? RedPandaMining here. How you guys all doing? I hope you're all doing really well and having a really great day. In this video, I am going to be building a server style mining rig, and I'm going to be putting in 8 P104s. Okay, so I have 8 of them here, and yeah, I'm excited to build this rig. And I'm going to go through all of the parts here that I'm going to pretty much put into this server style case. And specifically, this is a ROSEWILL L4000B server mining rig case. Link down below for what I'm talking about. And I know that there's different revisions of this ROSEWILL case, as I know that there's an L4000C as well. I think that one has like the fan grills in the front, but the one that I have here, the L4000B, and I actually have 2 more down here that I bought off Amazon. They didn't come with the fan grills in the front, but it does come with the 40mm fan in the middle here, which I am going to drill some new holes. So I do have a drill here, and we're gonna create some new holes so that I can fit 120mm fans, Delta fans, instead of the 40mm fans like these. And I have an 80mm fan here as well, but I don't think I'm going to be using these. I'm just going to be using these 3 Delta fans here, which I got off eBay for like extremely cheap. So we'll see if that works later on in this video, but I don't want to waste any time. Let me go through all the parts here. I got GPUrisers.com risers. Thank you Vistang for the risers for the 8 P104s. I have the EVGA P104s here that are BIOS modded to 8 GB. I have a 2000 watt tough power Thermaltake power supply, which I got off Alibaba. Link down below, you guys can see that one there. And as well, I have a Zotac B150 mining specific motherboard. You guys have heard me talk about this motherboard before, and I'm gonna see if it works in the server case. I think it should. It should be fine, as I can hopefully put 8 P104s, as this has 8 PCIe slots on this motherboard. So that should be good. And I have 8 GB of RAM, and as well as a G4400 processor, which I'm going to put into this motherboard. Oh, and 120 gig SSD. I'm just using this King Diane SSD here, which we are going to put Hive OS on this whole rig. Okay, so I'm going to go real quick here on building this. So the first thing that I think I'm going to put in first is the motherboard, and then I'm going to put in the power supply. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to show you guys the motherboard area. As you can see, I already have the motherboard standoffs in place. There's only 6 of them. Alright, so let me put in the motherboard. And there we go. We have everything in: motherboard, CPU, and RAM as well. So yeah, there's the 6 screws that I put into the motherboard here, into the motherboard tray. It looks like it does have like a tray type of thing here, but it's already bolted into the ROSEWILL server case here. Okay, next thing that I want to put in, my friends, is the power supply. I think that's what I want to do, so that I can figure out how I'm going to be doing the Delta fans here, because I do need to put in some new holes here in order to fit the 120mm fans. So let me go ahead. I'm going to put in the power supply. Give me a sec. Okay, a little bit of an issue. You guys can see this 2000 watt power supply is quite long. So it looks like I will have to take out this metal bar here, which is supposed to hold the fans. There is a couple screws that hold it up together, so I'm going to take out these 2 on this side and another 2 on that side. Then I can take out this, so then I can put the power supply in. You guys can see I just couldn't, because it's just way too long. Alright, give me 1 sec. Okay, so I actually had to turn the whole rig over so that I could screw in the power supply, as you guys can see. So it's in, and yeah, it looks good. I got all the PCIe cables here, which is quite a bit. I think there's like 18 different PCIe plugs here, as well as there's SATA and Molex here. And you guys can see the motherboard is sitting nicely. I already have the 24-pin already in, as well as the 8-pin power plug. And I do have another Molex SATA cable that goes over here, so which goes into the motherboard. So I'm powering the motherboard with Molex, and some may say I may not need to do it because I'm already powering the risers with PCIe already, so I may not even need this Molex connector into the Zotac B150. So, but I'm just gonna have it in there anyway, and then I have a little bit of slack left to plug in the SSD, which we're gonna plug in right over here on this side of the server case. So let me do that right now. Give me a sec. Okay, ran into a little issue I thought that we may need to resolve. So instead of putting the SSD here, but you guys can see it is kind of being blocked. It'll block this last PCIe slot. So that would not be good. You guys can see like that. I would not be able to put in the PCIe 1 adapter right there. So it looks like I will have to take out this metal part here, which looks like I will be able to. So there is a screw there and another screw right here. So then I can essentially take this out, and then I can plug in the PCIe cables over here. So it looks like I will have to put the SSD somewhere else. So let's figure that out right now. Give me one sec. Okay, there we go. You guys can see we can now plug in the PCIe adapter. No problem now for all 8 of them. It's not being blocked. Okay, and I put the SSD here for now. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it here. We may change it later. I was actually thinking of putting it behind the power supply, but I wanna figure out this fan part now. So I wanna do some drilling. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go outside and do this, as I wanna put 120mm Delta fans instead of using these like 40mm Arctic cooling fans, which is definitely not enough CFM. So my friends, I'm just gonna do the measuring of, you know, what the spacing is I want for the Delta fans, and then I'm going to drill some holes here with this drill, which I made sure I had the exact same drill bit size as these holes, so that'll be perfect. So I'm gonna drill 6 holes, and then we're gonna get the fans onto here, and then we're gonna see where the heck we're gonna place it into this server case here. So I'll be right back. And there we go. My newly made drilled holes and screws for the Delta fans. Just perfect. Look at that, guys. Just perfect. So I have the airflow going, it's going to be going essentially this way. So I'm hoping that I can just basically plop it in this direction right here. Let me try and put it in right now. Give me one sec. Okay, there we go. Both of the screws are in on each side, and you guys can see it is pretty tight right up to the power supply, but the fan looks like it can still move, no problems. And yeah, all these other fans are fine too. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, next step, guys, next step. Oh, forgot to show you the SSD. I actually moved it up right beside here, so that in case I need to replace it or get access to it, I just need to open the cover and take it out from here. So now it's just gonna sit right over here just like that. And yeah, I'm okay with that. That should be fine for airflow. Okay guys, next exciting part is the GPUs. So I have one ready just to see what it looks like once we put it in. So let's just put it in now and see what this looks like. Okay, so actually I'm gonna go all the way to the very end. Okay, so it's actually pretty tight here. There's some cables hitting it. Just gonna line up with the hole just to make sure we are good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it looks like, just by looking at it right now, I am, let's see, that's pretty tight, and I do need to get a splitter cable to the riser to power the risers as well. And then I need the red USB cables to go through underneath and then plug into the motherboard. So I think that part should be fine. I'm probably gonna put in all the cables first before I put the GPU in. But looking at over here, I saw something earlier actually. So I'm thinking I may be able to move this metal bar up one more. You guys can see this metal bar here. I can move it up that way, and it looks like it's not going to interfere with anything. You guys can see the little hole right there. I can essentially just move this over up a few more millimeters, and so that should give me a little bit more headroom for plugging in the, you know, power cables, routing these PCIe cables through. So I'm gonna do that right now, and we'll see what it looks like. One sec. Okay, so I was able to move up the bar. So it's at the very end now, so I moved it up just a little bit more so I can have more leverage. You guys can see here, there's a little bit more headway, more room here I can play with, so it looks good. I've already put in the first GPU, screwed it in, and unfortunately, well, it's fine though, but you guys can see I have the PCIe cable plugged in, and just to let you guys know that this power supply that I'm using, it may be different from you guys, but each of these has a 8-pin and another 8-pin on the other side here. So I was able to put the 8-pin for the first part of the P104. It doesn't have dual 8-pins, it's just one single 8-pin. But unfortunately, the other 8-pin that comes with it is not long enough to go into the riser. So I had to use a splitter. and I hate that I had to do that because it just wasn't long enough. But the good thing about that is I'm only using one PCIe 6-pin, so I'm not utilizing the other 8-pin there from the splitter, so technically it should be fine. And I made sure I cable managed everything. I don't know if you guys can see that, it's kind of dark, but made sure it's all tight together so that we're not restricting the air coming through, and these Delta fans can hopefully, you know, output the air, the heat as well, just fine. And you guys can see I already put in the riser cable as well for the PCIe riser. It goes down there and up into the last slot there. So you guys can see I was able to put it in, not having anything blocked on this side. Okay, so first GPU's in. I want to test the whole system before we, you know, add in the other 7 P104s. You know, it's just best practice to make sure the whole system works. Even with just the motherboard, we should have technically tried it without the GPU, but you know what, we'll see how it works. So let me go ahead, I'm gonna try it on with a monitor, and I already have Hive OS already on my SSD here. Whatever operating system you guys are using, I guess it'll just depend, but for me, I'm using Hive OS. I've already burned it on here with Balena Etcher, download the latest OS. So give me 1 sec, I'm gonna get a monitor and keyboard and we'll see if it boots up. Okay, I have the network, I have the mouse, keyboard, I have the HDMI, power cable, plugged in, monitor, everything, and it's going into my PDU. So I had to do this on my PDU because that power supply that I'm using only works on 180 volts to 250 volts. So I have to do it on my 30 amp PDUs here. I just want to take note of how many amps I'm using on this bank, and I'm only using 6 amps right now. I have my 5700 rig off right now because I'm testing out some thermal pad stuff. Okay, so that's plugged in, 6 amps times 240. You guys can do the math. And I guess once we turn this on, have all the GPUs in, then we can see how many amps this whole rig is using. Okay, without further ado, let's just see if this whole thing works. So, powered on. And obviously it doesn't turn on by itself, so I have to hit the power button. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. The GPU turned on as well. Okay, Zotac, yes. Success. I'm gonna hit the delete key. And nope, it just turned off. Okay. Okay, no, now it's turning back on. That's a lot of airflow, that's for sure. Oh, nope, it's going into Hive OS now. Okay. Well, that's fine, I think. Okay, yeah, Hive is coming up. Okay, well, I'm just gonna let it go. We're not gonna go in the BIOS. I'm gonna assume, I believe 4G decoding is already enabled, pre-enabled on these motherboards. I remember last time testing out one of these and 4G decoding and Gen 1 was already enabled. So we're gonna go into Hive OS and see if we can see it. 1 sec. Okay, it showed up just fine. You guys can see the Zotac motherboard shows there, the G4400. And the 120 gigabyte SSD, and it's actually already mining already. We got 38.46 mega hash at about 140 watts, which is quite a lot. I have to fine tune these, but this is just the common overclock settings that I found through Hive OS. They have an area there in overclocking. So it's looking good. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna turn this off. It looks like it's good. I wanna see what it looks like at the rig itself, just to make sure everything seems to be fine. Everything seems to be okay. The GPU feels hot. And you know what? I'm gonna type miner in Hive OS just to make sure it's working. And yeah, looks like we are running by the looks of it, I think. Yeah, 37, 38 mega hash, so that looks good. And at the PDU, I just wanna verify, we should have gone up like another, oh wow, we went up 2 amps. So what's 240 times 2 amps? That would be about 500 watts. Wow, that's a lot. We went from 6 to 8 amps. And of course, give or take, there may be some, you know, it may be at the high end of 6 amps, maybe close to 7 amps. So yeah, we may be using, I think, 300, maybe 400 watts. I'm not sure. I think once we put in all 8 GPUs, we can get a better idea to see how much watts we are using for the whole system. Okay guys, I'm gonna let that go, and I'm gonna go ahead and start planning putting in all the 8 P104s with all of them in the server case here. So give me a sec. There we go. Oh man, it was actually really hard to get the last 2 P104s in. because of just the cables, and it was already really tight as is. You guys can see it's just, I don't have much room here. Yeah, so it looks good though, and I'm not even sure if it's gonna work with all 8 of them. So this is something we are gonna try right now. But you guys can see the spacing here, it's pretty tight. There's not much room for airflow to go through, but at least hopefully it will go in between the GPUs and obviously the top here of the GPUs when I close the server case, and we'll see what the temperatures are. But without further ado, let's go ahead and turn this thing on and make sure it works. Okay, so here we go. Gonna hit the power button. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Looks like it's on. All the risers from GPUrisers.com are on, and looks like we are getting the go-ahead light on the monitor, and it's loading in Hive OS. Okay, so that's good. Oh man, these Delta fans are so loud. I can definitely feel a lot of airflow. You know what? I'm actually gonna put on the lid. So let's put this on, and then we will see the hash rate and temperatures that we are getting on this rig. Okay, so I have the lid closed now. Looks good. A lot of airflow in the back here. And yeah, okay, so it looks like we see the 8. And now I'm gonna type in miner so that we can see what it's doing on the hash rate here. So it looks like it's generating the DAG. Yeah, the 8 P104s. Okay, that looks good, that looks good. Using kernel 5. Memory left 3.91. Okay, looks like we're getting some hash rate already. 2.96 mega hash. That is crazy. Okay, let's just see what it is at the power at the wall. So initially we were getting 6 amps on that bank. Now we are getting 11 amps. So what is, we're getting 6. So we're using another 5 amps. Is that right? Is my math correct? We're using about 5 amps. So what's 5 times 240? 5 times 240 would be about 13. I would say this whole rig is taking about 1300 watts right now at about 296 mega hash. Let's go to the computer, the web GUI, and see what it says there. Okay, yes, it shows all 8 P104s, 8 gigabytes. And you guys can see the hash rates we're getting about 37, I would say 36 to 37 mega hash across the board. The temperatures currently, it's 55, 55, 57, 55, 58, 59, 58, and 60 degrees Celsius. And you guys can see my fan speeds are currently set at 60, and the power consumption I have now at 130 watts instead of 150 or 140 what I had before. You guys can see my overclocks there. And yeah, I'm happy about this. So it says 1034 watts in the software, but we saw at the PDU we're using about pretty much 5 amps total. So 5 times 240, that would be, yeah, about, just do the calculator here, 240 times 5, that would be about, 1200 watts. So give or take, it might use a little bit more. We might be at the 6 amp range, so maybe, 13 to 1400 watts for the whole rig. So I'm happy about this, guys. I think this is good. Temperatures are generally okay. This one's at 68. So it's actually warm right now in my crypto mining basement, and I'm actually gonna be having this like server rack in another location. It's not gonna be where I have all my mining rigs here. It's actually gonna be in a temperature controlled area with AC and all that stuff. So I shouldn't have to worry about the temperatures on that. Maybe I can boost up the fan speed, but generally you guys can see it's not bad. It's doing okay. It looks like the temperature kind of went down. But guys, I'm happy about this rig. I'm gonna let it go now, and it seems like it's mining just fine. Let me know your thoughts and or concerns in the comments down below. This was a pretty interesting build to make. It wasn't that hard, and hopefully it helped some of you guys that were maybe wanting to get this ROSEWILL server case. I've made plenty of these before, but I found a good deal on Amazon. Link down below. You guys can see what I'm talking about. But anyways, guys, I think we are okay. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and peace out. We're at 12 amps now, not 11, so we are using more, I would say close to 14 or 1500 amps. Alright, well, that's okay.